In 1965, Chevrolet introduced a van that would carry American families, businesses, and road trippers for 3 decades. The Sportvan wasn't just transportation, it was freedom on wheels, spacious enough for camping trips, big enough for growing families, and versatile enough to become a favorite for customizers and everyday drivers alike. For years, it was everywhere on American roads. Then, after 30 years on the market, it quietly disappeared. No dramatic announcement, no final send-off. Just a name that stopped appearing in Chevrolet's lineup. This is the story of the Chevrolet Sportvan, the van that defined a generation of road trips, and the story of why Chevrolet eventually let it go. The Chevrolet Sportvan first appeared in 1965, added to Chevrolet's full-size van platform as a passenger-friendly alternative to the purely utilitarian Chevy van. Unlike cargo vans built for hauling equipment, the Sportvan came with windows integrated into the body and comfortable seating built for families, road trips, and adventure. By the 1970s, the Sportvan had become a genuine cultural symbol. It was the era of custom vans, airbrushed murals, shag carpet interiors, and bubble windows. The Sportvan became a favorite canvas for customizers, showing up at van shows and cruising down highways across the country, packed with camping gear or blasting music on long summer road trips. In 1971, Chevrolet gave the Sportvan a complete redesign, sharing mechanicals with GM's CK pickup trucks. For an entire generation, the Sportvan wasn't just a vehicle, it represented freedom. Through the late 1970s and into the 1980s, the Sportvan remained a steady seller, but the automotive world around it was shifting. In 1984, Chrysler introduced something that hadn't existed before, the minivan. Smaller, easier to park, and far more fuel-efficient, it completely reshaped what American families expected from a family vehicle. The Sportvan, built on an older, larger platform designed in the 1960s, suddenly had real competition it had never faced before. It wasn't an instant death sentence. Chevrolet kept building and selling Sportvans throughout the 1980s and into the 1990s. But the writing was on the wall. Fewer families needed a full-size van built to seat 15, when a compact minivan could do the school run just as easily. Sales didn't collapse overnight. They eroded year after year as buyers quietly shifted towards smaller, more modern alternatives. By the early 1990s, the Sportvan was still on sale, but it was clearly a relic of an earlier era. Its boxy, forward-heavy design hadn't fundamentally changed since the 1971 redesign, even as competitors introduced more modern, aerodynamic vans. The 1995 Sportvan received a few modest updates: power locks, power windows, an upgraded top-trim Beauville package, but underneath, it was still the same basic vehicle that had been rolling off the line for over 2 decades. Then, in 1996, Chevrolet made its decision. The Sportvan, along with the entire G-Series van lineup, was discontinued and replaced by an all-new model, the Chevrolet Express. There was no special farewell edition, no anniversary send-off. The Sportvan name that had appeared on Chevrolet's passenger vans since 1965 simply stopped being used. After 3 decades on American roads, the Sportvan's run had quietly come to an end. Even though the Sportvan disappeared from showrooms in 1996, it never really left American car culture. Through the 1970s custom van movement, thousands of Sportvans were transformed into rolling works of art. Airbrushed murals, shag carpet, captain's chairs, and elaborate paint jobs. Van shows and van clubs built entire communities around vehicles just like it. Today, those customized 1970s sport vans are treasured pieces of American automotive history. Enthusiasts restore them panel by panel, chase down original parts, and proudly roll them into classic car meets. Not because they were rare or expensive, but because they remind people of a simpler time on the open road. The Sportvan was never the fastest, the flashiest, or the most talked-about vehicle Chevrolet ever built. But for 3 decades, it carried families to campgrounds, teenagers to concerts, and dreamers across the country, and that quiet, everyday loyalty is exactly what makes it unforgettable. The Chevrolet Sportvan's story isn't one of scandal or failure. It's a story about time simply moving on. For 30 years, it did exactly what it was built to do: carry people, gear, and memories down American highways. It didn't need to be flashy to matter. It just needed to be there, year after year, family after family. When Chevrolet finally let it go in 1996, replaced by the more modern Express, it wasn't a dramatic ending. It was the quiet retirement of a vehicle that had already given everything it had to give. The Sportvan may be gone from dealership lots today, but step into any classic van meet, and you'll still find them. Engines running, paint gleaming, doors open for one more road trip. The name may have disappeared in 1996. The spirit never did.